Oh, hello to everyone. I'm happy to see so many people here. And I would say we can directly jump in. So last week we gathered in Budapest in Puzzle Co-working for our DeepSea Hungary Ecosystem Hack. DeepSea Hungary is, as you know, a 2-year program where we will launch 8 moonshot projects for the Hungarian ecosystem. And we want to tackle big challenges like university tech transfer, connecting to the global diaspora, and so on and so on. And yeah, I think it was a very successful gathering that we had last week on Tuesday. Around 45 people attended. This day, we found out what are the challenges in the Hungarian ecosystem, what are the opportunities that we have. And yeah, today we want to discuss what's next for DeepSea Hungary. But at first, we will have a small recap. We will, Harald, if you could change the slides. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we will have a recap about the 4 working groups in which we divided the big group. We will speak about the systemic barriers and also about the blueprints once more, and as well as about the project ideas that came out after this day. And after this, after the discussion of the project ideas that we developed last week, we will have the official start for the call for applications for DeepSea Hungary. Yes, we will once more say what this whole program is about, who should apply, and also, of course, ask you to let this news circulate in your ecosystem or in your network. Right, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Richard, for the introduction and for opening the webinar. So I also want to say hi for those who see me for the first time. My name is Harald Eisenhauer, and I'm co-founder and head of Accelerator at DEEP Ecosystems. Just for those who hear us for the first time, DEEP Ecosystems is a global community of innovation hubs. Yeah, we're building ecosystems all over the world, and our next project is an accelerator for ecosystems in Hungary. It's called DEEPSEA Hungary, DEEP Startup Ecosystem Accelerator Hungary. And yeah, if you are hearing this for the first time, we are currently calling for applications for new projects that would promote strategic systemic growth for the startup ecosystem in Hungary. And for that, we had previously already had 2 webinars, several one-on-one conversations with innovation leaders and ecosystem stakeholders. And yeah, just last week, 1 week ago, we had our ecosystem hack in Budapest. It's a hackathon, but not for startups or for project ideas, but for ecosystem growth. Yeah, so we invited around 50 ecosystem builders that joined us, and together we discussed systemic structural barriers that we have identified based on data, based on qualitative experience, based on interviews. And connected to these systemic barriers, we also brainstormed, as you do in a hackathon, quickly which ideas could be applied here. We looked at international best practices, something we call blueprints, something that works in one place and you can replicate in another place. And we came up with the first couple of project ideas. Now, the next big challenge, of course, is, as in any hackathon, transferring ideas to action. But the good news is, of course, that this is exactly what we intend to do. So we are now calling for applications for people that may have been inspired on the hack, on the webinars, or just maybe hear us for the first time. If they have concrete ideas, projects for ecosystem growth. For example, a university that wants to build a new incubator, someone who wants to build a new venture fund, or a community builder who wants to try something new to build a startup community, yeah, or someone who wants to connect Hungary more or in a different way with the world, yeah. These kinds of ideas, we're pretty much open for anything that's systemic and growth oriented. They can now apply to our 2-year program, DEEPSEA Hungary, and then start a journey later this year in August and September to get our help from the institutions that are listed here and from Deep Ecosystems as your implementation partner, looking towards growing your impact and looking towards finding an operating model for growth, meaning also revenue generation, fundraising. All of this, like I said, we already do. We have at the moment some 67 members worldwide, and we're helping them in the end to be successful and also to raise funds. We have so far raised 10 million euros, and we're looking forward now to getting many interesting projects in from Hungary. Yeah, so like it says here, we're looking for someone with a passion to solving the big challenges, someone ready to build and lead a moonshot projects. Moonshot, of course, is a reference to the space race, when the big question was who can set the first boots on the ground on the moon. And it was a big, ambitious project that required a whole ecosystem to make it happen. And something like this we want to see in Hungary as well. If you want to fly to the moon, we're here. Or if you just want to build a new program, that's also for us to work on. Good. This just as a general background. We would now move on. This is an interactive webinar, so we're also open for connections and for questions. Later on, we will open the floor. For now, if you want, we have a Q&A here in the chat, so you can just drop your question and we'll go through them later at the end of the webinar. Please also feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, say who you are. I hope that some of you or many of you have also been there in the hack with us, since many cameras are off. I don't know who's here in the room with me. So please feel free to introduce yourself. And then later on, we will also open the mic and hope to get a discussion going. All right. So to move on, we looked last week, like Richard already said, at 4 main dimensions of the Hungarian ecosystem, and we split up in 4 working groups to look at challenges that we have identified and also first ideas like drafts or directions where this could be going. I will not have the time to go through all of them, but if some of the participants is also here in the room, it's also possible now to unmute yourself, to contribute. Later on, I will ask my co-organizers also to speak and reflect upon it. But in the first dimension, education and talent, we looked, for example, at challenges like the gap between academia and businesses. Yeah, this is a classic problem, of course, in ecosystem building. We looked at opportunities and we looked at some of the blueprints that have worked in other places, and we discussed them on site in the working groups. Just to visualize it a little bit, so these were some of the issues that we looked at in terms of education and talent. So, for example, one of the questions here on the right-hand side in the graph, the question was, for example, do you have startup founders with tech skills, meaning someone who knows how to code, someone who knows how to engineer something, someone who knows how to build something that involves technology? And as you can see, it's not always a given that startup founders have these skills. And Budapest, if you look here, as a representative of Hungary, is better than some places that you might not suspect. For example, leaders like Paris or Berlin are less likely to have startup founders with tech skills. Yeah. So this, in terms of talent, speaks, for example, for Budapest as an asset, for Hungary as an asset. There is a relatively higher share of founders with tech skills. This we discussed in the group. And yeah, for moonshot blueprints, we discussed, for example, this example of how, for example, in Chile, the entrepreneurial culture was promoted with a strategic program. We discussed this in the group with pros and cons, of course. Some experiences also were shared. And the question was, is something like this also feasible in Hungary? Can you adapt that? Can you learn from that? Can you make a project out of that? Now, later on, I will open the floor and ask also the participants to present what they have discussed and share a little bit more. The second working group was on internationalization and networks. Yeah, here, for example, there was a challenge like a cultural question, for example, a lack of trust among ecosystem stakeholders, or a culture or no culture of giving first, right? That's something that we discussed also at the Ecosystem Hack and in the webinars and in direct conversations. Many of the participants felt that a culture of initiatives that promote a culture of giving first would be something that could make sense in Hungary. Yeah, and here we also discussed, for example, blueprints like a diaspora activation, yeah, so to bring back or bring in experienced founders that may have left the country, went abroad, to inspire a new culture or generate value for the Hungarian ecosystem. There is this asset that we feel is not yet fully exploited or tapped into. Yeah, and we asked for specific project proposals. Some of them already exist in like a written form, you know, in a hackathon, you come up with a quick sketch, post-its, first ideas, right? It's not yet a fully fledged project, but it could become one. Yeah, that's also the challenge that I bring here to the group, to everybody who's listening, and also to the general public in Hungary and the world, to take these inputs and make them into concrete project ideas that we can work on for the next couple of years. Good. Here in internationalization and network, we have discussed, for example, a phenomenon that, for example, you can see on the right-hand side in this graph, that there is a very big diaspora of Hungarian founders. Yeah, in other places. In fact, the second biggest city of Hungarian startups is London, for example. Yeah. So if you consider this on a global scale, the question is, what does the Hungarian ecosystem do with this kind of asset of having such a big group of probably successful or at least experienced founders in other places? How does this generate value for the home ecosystem? And here, as one of example of a blueprint for activating or exploiting this asset, we looked, for example, at, as a good practice, at a program that focuses on diaspora activation. Yeah, this is, I think, at least one of the project participants, of the Ecosystem Hack participants, already has formulated something like that into a concrete project and, wants to join our accelerator program. So this was very, let's say, interesting in terms of discussion, in terms of ideas. And I'm sure that we're going to see at least one project in the accelerator that works on that. Good. This was the second group. Now, the third one was on industry collaboration and policy. And here, one of the key issues, for example, was, if you look at the challenges, a lack of an exit market. Yeah, so if you are a venture capital investor and you invest into a startup, you also want to see what happens with this investment. Is there a market for this startup to grow, to be sold? Is there somebody buying the startup, or what's the scenario for the startup for growth? In a classical VC market, at some stage, normally somebody will buy the startup and the earlier investor gets a share and gets paid out in this process. But if there is, let's say, no exit market for startups, then early stage investors have no incentive of investing in the startup. And when you then say, why is nobody investing in startups in our ecosystem? The question is already answered. This is one of the examples, for example, as a challenge that you can identify and work on as an ecosystem. If there's no such market, can you find a way to make it happen? Can you hack it? Can you find it? Can you, let's say, find a shortcut? Can you consider this in the offerings, in the value generation that you do for startups in your ecosystem? Good. And here, for example, and I'm moving a little bit fast, we looked at graphs or phenomena like this one, for example. So here also on the right-hand side, you see the results of what founders think about a place. This is directly from startup founders, an opinion poll that we do every year. It's called Startup Heatmap. And here, for example, we see that when we ask founders, how do you evaluate the connections between startups and industry in your place, rather good or rather bad? This is the result. And here, for example, we can see that Budapest may not be, let's say, on the same level as a place like Munich, where people love the connections, but it's not far away from supposedly successful places like Berlin, or also if you want to compare to the neighboring country of Poland, it is within reach. It is, however, let's say, something that people can directly attack. How can you build and nurture these connections between industry and startup? This is a classical program also in ecosystem building, that with the right strategy or with the right approach and with the right help, you can clearly have an influence in. Good. And yeah, we discussed here also this moonshot as a blueprint, so mission-driven innovation. Yeah, I will not go into detail into this. Just as an example, you can later on also find all of these in the recording of the session. Time-wise, I need to move on. This is now the last working group that we had, the fourth dimension. So the last working group was on tech transfer and deep tech. Here, we also looked at challenges like, for example, intellectual property issues, investor networks, entrepreneurial experience, and so on. And we identified also opportunities. One of the blueprints I think that we discussed widely was the Israeli incubator model, where universities take share in IP and get support for that in a nutshell. And we also saw a couple of concrete project proposals, so things that were written down that exist already on a paper, at least in a rudimentary form. Some of the phenomena that we looked at, for example, was the phenomena of spin-offs. So here on the right-hand side, you see the best universities or the most active universities in terms of venture investing. So all of these universities in places like Japan, UK, USA, Germany are very good at doing venture capital investments. Yeah, and let's say seeing that Budapest or Hungary is not on this list doesn't tell you much, right? How good are we? How bad are we? How big is the gap? But you can learn and see what these places have done right and then replicate it. And as you know, one of the co-organizers is also a university-backed venture capital fund. So definitely we have this experience already in the making, already existing, already operating. And if we have now other universities that feel like this is something to venture into, then we can definitely help with that and translate good practices from Hungary or internationally. Yeah, this is just another slide. I will skip this quickly now because I'm already over time. Now, I would like to open the floor because I was only in one working group, so I can speak only for one. But I would now like to ask our co-organizers, from EIT Health, that's Scholt, from the Hungarian Innovation Agency, that's Laszlo, and from Óbuda University Venture Capital, that's Imre, since you were there. So some key questions or some reflections from your side from the hack, looking at structural challenges in the ecosystem and initial ideas that were produced and discussed, moonshots, blueprints in your working groups. I would like to give you the floor. You can reflect. If you need some help, I also prepared some questions that you can look at. But for now, I would ask Scholt, please.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for everybody. So basically, I was part in different working groups, but the main idea or the main findings that we have been discussed related to Hungary. First of all, we think there is a big need to develop the business acumen and the business trust between different stakeholders. If we are talking about universities, companies, startups, multinational companies, even governments or governmental bodies, we should have a clear, defined use cases and even maybe document templates where we can use when we are going to have something innovative together. There were so many questions and considerations related IP protection, related legal requirements when we think about AI, the AI role in healthcare development by definition is something that we have to find out and we have developed more and more. But in a business environment where Hungary has experienced, I think, and we think there are some room to improvements in this area. So we need methods, processes, templates, and clear instructions how we can move together forward to the innovation pathway. Also, we have been discussed a little bit about the role of the investment money always, and it's obvious that depends on the maturity level of the innovation, depends on the phases of the startups, depends on the role why they would like to have investments. Different kind of capital will be needed and will be useful to fulfill the goals of that business. It's not obvious and it's not always an easy choice, especially when you have to keep your cap table healthy. And at last but not least, it's always tricky or not so easy to judge business opportunities in a clinical way, in a professional way, in a sustainable financial way. It's always a great proof that your business idea or business product or services will be needful in the market. That is obviously the revenue attraction. By the way, the validation methods should be used more frequently in the Hungarian healthcare ecosystem. It's not enough that a bunch of people believes in you or in your product, of course. It's obvious, but not enough. It's a condition, but not a proof. You have to find some really hard statements. And the hardest statements is the revenue, of course, that the market will accept and needs your solutions. So that means we have to work on a scalable project because the Hungarian market is maybe too small to reach the required economy of scale and even economy of scope. That was the main findings. We haven't identified a project in a very detailed level, of course, but we have already identified the need that if we can find something based on the conditions and the requirements and the ideas that I'm just shared with you right now, that could be a great chance to have a moonshot project. Thank you.
Sorry, Scholt, just which group were you in?
I was a different group, but by the way, the TTO, the Technology Transfer Offices, and the Technology Transfer Group, I was there.
Okay.
We've been discussed the technology transfer a lot, and it's very obvious. Technology transfer only useful if they can be used and they can be required by market roles or market stakeholders. Technology transfer doing just because of itself, it's not useful. We have to integrate those technology to the economy, to the innovation ecosystem, which is very, very hard and a different activity, like only just sharing the knowledge and sharing the technologies or just closing a couple of years project. You have to integrate those technologies. That means you need education, you need sustainable business models, you need to find the market need for the technology. Somebody has to pay for that technology. Of course, we are not talking about the science right now. We are talking about the business. So we have to show the money somewhere.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, I think Laszlo is not here today. I think he was traveling. But I see, for example, Laszlo Korani. If you would like to share from your experience from the workshop, please, the floor is open. Leave it up to you.
Yeah, well, hi. So it was a good workshop. I really enjoyed it, and but the outcome was a bit slim because we came up only with 2 project ideas, but they are really important. One is my daily task is the innovation procurement, and here what we have formulated as a task is to gather potential procurers, so from the governmental side, and potential suppliers who have something to deliver in the framework of innovation procurement. Now, later on, we plan to have a system that is a kind of marketplace or a kind of a maybe AI-based where you can provide the community with the needs of the procurer, and the other side with the innovative solutions. But now this would be like a very manual process to find. And we are not very ambitious at this moment, to find maybe 2 such projects in the next coming, I don't know, year or something like that, possibly earlier. So basically, this is something that be happy to have people to apply for. And the other one. That's I don't know if he's here, because he mentioned that he would participate from a company in Hungary. He was the other Hungarian participant, by the way. So we were
here. No problem.
Are you here?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
That's Bertalan.
Okay, so if you can like
just
describe your project, it's much better if you do than
not sure it's like a fully worked out project. It was just kind of a formulating idea on the back of the public procurement idea to innovation, is maybe thinking a bit more broader. We could think of creating what we call the market access hub project, based in Hungary, but quite international, allowing startups and ecosystem to, in a structured manner, get to market, basically. And the whole idea came as we are mainly in 2 subsectors as an institute, as a research institute. One is medtech, life sciences, and the other one is food tech. So I'm not quite sure whether all the rest of the let's say sub-markets, to what extent they are let's say affected. But in these 2 subsectors, definitely in life sciences, healthcare market access is let's say needs a more structured approach. So this is how it all started to develop, and so that was the idea. I guess we have 1 more month to formulate this into an application. I will also have some questions regarding the standard terms and conditions that I read, but anyway, that was the idea.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, thanks,
you.
Bertalan.
And thanks, Laszlo, for your input in the panel and everybody who was there. That was the regulatory and policy panel.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay. I also see here 1 raised hand by Hans, who was also in the Ecosystem Hack.
Yeah, I was in the same team, so I would like to maybe add something, because the 2 propositions that were just mentioned, I think, are part of a potential broader opportunity in bringing together an ecosystem with both scientific and private partners including startups, of course. and government to basically accelerate the path from idea to application and reimbursement, of course focusing on healthcare applications. And when you can accelerate that path, for instance by faster realization of clinical trials, faster regulatory path to basically implementation, and support by professionals to endorse the applications, and basically putting that into one ecosystem can be extremely strong opportunity, particularly in healthcare. And by the way, we're doing just that here in Utrecht, for instance, where we put all these items together in one organized way. I think where there is the opportunity is to get more involvement of the authorities, of the regulatory bodies, of the government. That I think would be an opportunity for instance, Budapest.
Very good. Thank you. All right. I would first hand over now to Imre and then open up the floor. I also prepared some questions to discuss, but first, please, Imre, go ahead. Is he still in the room? Well, until he comes back, I would then simply move on. So first, I have prepared a quick poll at menti.com. So if you could quickly pull out your phones or enter in your browser menti.com, and I will also share this in the link.
Yeah, I'm on now.
Good. Yeah, while people are filling out this information at Menti. Yeah, so you can reflect upon your working group, what kind of challenges were identified, and if there were any interventions, strategic initiatives, projects, or moonshots that searched.
Yeah, there were three kind of I would say lightly formulated ideas, kind of draft frameworks. One was about the necessity of a story building for Budapest as an ecosystem, and story building for being an entrepreneur. Obviously, for different demographic groups, different story would be proper. There was also an idea of doing something like a Hall of Fame for outstanding individuals or outstanding talent in various areas of industry. And also there was an explicit interest in developing international connections of Hungarians, and that's something that you hinted at, Harald. All the Hungarians living abroad, how can they contribute to the development of the Budapest ecosystem? But the bottom line is that the more I think about it, and I did think about it, the more I realize that I think our work is not necessarily at developing some of the talent and some of the institutional players in Hungary, but I think it's more basic. And that more basic comes from 2 years ago when you guys were here in Budapest, and Thomas gave a presentation at Graphisoft Park. And there was a presentation which Thomas said a sentence that I think a lot of people found very, very touching. And that sentence was that he showed us the various ecosystems in Europe, and he said, well, and you see that Budapest is not really there because it's not relevant. And that's I think that summarizes the problem in a way. And we are not relevant not because we don't have talent, but because we are not visible. Visibility is a huge problem. And if you think about it, the bottom line is that for startups also, startups that are not visible are not valued. So it is an economic value that we can attach to visibility and how we are actually seen in the international scene. And that's why I was happy to hear, that, all this story building and Hall of Fame, recognizing our outstanding examples and talents is on the same, is actually on the same genre or on the same message. And I think that is something that we also have to work on, especially with those people to whom Hungary and Hungarian talent matters, and those are the expat Hungarians who live in London, Amsterdam, or New York. So in my group, which was talent, education, and talent, to me that was the biggest walkaway idea, that we have to do everything to increase our visibility, so that whatever value we have right now, without making huge and very, very deep and meaningful connections with the international arena. Obviously, there are some good examples, but the mass is not there yet. We have to actually make ourselves more visible, and it's not something that is expensive. It is something that people are just not considering important. And I just want to emphasize that our visibility is more important than we think.
All right. Thanks, Emil, for sharing. That's very good. Okay, we were approached by several participants, maybe also people that have already applied or formulated on paper, online, or in their heads, a project idea or an intervention. So they asked us if they could share here also today. And if you're here in the room, please raise your hand. You can just unmute yourself, present yourself, and quickly present what you have come up with, what your idea was, if you have any idea that you would like to share here. So while people are gathering their minds, we can also look at the results of this quick icebreaker question. Question was, in 5 years, what will be Hungary's startup superpower, right? So it's always important to formulate a vision towards the future, even if we're not there yet, or we're not there now. What could be? What could be the vision? What could be the result if we work hard in one direction? And it's always important, first of all, to formulate a vision, and then secondly, to gather resources and people that believe in that vision and want to make it happen. That's basically the role of an ecosystem builder. And here we see, for example, positivity, diaspora, network, motivation as keywords. Also saw tech-related aspects in terms of superpower. So AI and STEM, I think I saw that. Technological expertise. Technical knowledge. Also, venture capital is a topic that I see. So these were some of the ideas that came up today. In the meantime, I see Peter raising your hand. Please go ahead, just introduce yourself quickly and the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. This is Peter Gadai. I just recently saw this opportunity given Imre's posts on LinkedIn. So I just became interested about this topic. And I was wondering about if there is any document around the application. I saw the link to apply, but I was wondering what to prepare for it. So if there is any resource for that, I did not see that specific information on the website, but if there is anything, that would be great. In terms of background, I've worked in the San Francisco Bay Area for 13 years in the consulting space and quantitative decision support areas, advising startups and larger companies as well in various topics. And I have already built some solutions that helps startups and VC funds. And also what I heard about the healthcare area around how to make decisions or how to drive demand, especially in cases when not everything is around the financial impact potentially, even though you need ROI to get the funders or the funding for your project, but how to enable kind of like demand generation when there are topics like health and safety or other areas that are probably relevant for the government or society or environmental factors and these kind of things. So those are the things that I'm thinking about, but it would be good to know like what specifically is needed for the application so I can generate the details needed.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah. Before closing, I will also quickly walk through the application process. And definitely we also have, or we recommend everybody who's interested in applying in just booking a personal conversation with us for such questions, right? You can reach out, there's a contact form, email conversation. We will also here in the chat offer you a chance to book a direct call with us, and then we can go through all the questions in detail. In terms of information, so everything that's on the website, that's what you can use. There's an application form, there's a general description of the 2 years. There's also access to the participation agreement, access to more details in terms of what to expect, mentoring, what kind of services you can get. And yeah, anything beyond that, please feel free before you apply or also after to book a direct conversation with us, and then we can go through all the questions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Now, yeah, for discussion or for people who still want to share, we can also go through these questions. If anybody feels willing or is daring to unmute yourself, please also feel free to go through these questions. Looking through our F&A, our Q&A in the chat, any other questions that came up? Also, Richard or the others, please feel free to highlight them if there was anything. Yeah, so Bertalan has some questions about the participation agreement. This is quite detailed, so also to Bertalan, I would recommend a direct one-on-one conversations, and we can go through all of this together. And
all in all, we clearly see the value of this. So we would like to submit something by 8th of August, but just would like to clarify some of these details from the standard terms. Thanks. So yeah. happy to have a direct conversation, no problem.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, in a nutshell, also, we're talking here about acceleration and a growth partnership. So this is not a training, right? This is not something to build capacities or just to go and see. We're looking for moonshot owners, right? People who are willing to not only learn, but also build. Yeah, and the participation agreement is like a mutual commitment to jointly invest in this project. Just to be clear, and the details we can go through. Now, I also saw a question from Kevin. Is Kevin here still in the room? Oh, he said he had to leave. Okay, so he shared his idea in the chat. Please feel free also to reach out to him to review that. Any other points that were raised? Balázs from ELTE. Erdei, Balázs, are you still here in the room?
Hardworking players on tour, and yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Hi, can you hear me?
Thank you for coming, but this is not the end we wanted to see, and it's it's very sad, and yeah, we all wish him only the best.
Can you hear me?
That was
him and his team. And
sorry, who's speaking?
You were asking me if I was still here. Yes.
Yeah, because I heard somebody else speaking, so I wasn't sure if there was a contribution. So Balázs, please go ahead, because you texted, you chatted, you wrote a message in the chat. Yeah, please feel free to introduce yourself. We're looking to build on existing innovation ecosystem networks and structures. Would you like to expand on that? Do you have a question on that or questions to us?
Yes, sure. I work at the Innovation Center at this large university, and we have pretty much the same problems, challenges that most Eastern European universities have. You know, most of our researchers, innovators produce wonderful things, but they are they have this aversion to starting their own company. So not many spin-offs, mostly we have filed patents and all kinds of know-hows. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to start the the startup journey, but we're working on it. And right now, what we are planning to do is to set up kind of an incubation acceleration support structure where ELTA's strengths can be channeled into this into this initiative. Our strengths are humanities and the major overview on what some of the soft sciences, humanities, psychology, and all those have in store. So in terms of societal challenges, some of our students, some of our researchers are world class and can help out even other startup teams that are trying to solve societal problems. So that's what we are thinking about. So if you have anything, if you have any pointers, or if you have any, anything in this DEEPSEA Hack to Action program for us, please let us know.
Absolutely. I think we should book a call and discuss a little bit more in detail how we can help you. So what you're describing was also one of the trends or the common themes that we have discussed with ecosystem stakeholders in various occasions, how to support spin-offs, this tech transfer activities of Hungarian universities. We have here in the room with Imre one of the, I think, pioneers in that field, but I guess all universities on all levels are very active and eager working on this. If you have an idea or if you have a need, right, something to say like, I don't know, we have 10 spin-offs per year, how can we get to 100? Then we are the right program to talk to, because we have the experience there, we have blueprints, and we can consult you, we can build with you this intervention, a playbook for ecosystem growth, and then find funds nationally, locally, internationally, or other means, for example, private sector collaboration, collaboration with corporates to integrate them more, to make your program grow and more successful, right? I know everybody's busy and working hard, but the question is always, how can we grow? And this could be something if you decide to join, to apply to our program, where we work on for the course of over the next 2 years. So we have already several universities in our network, and this could be one opportunity to collaborate on this and help you to be more successful than you are already.
Thank you. We are very much interested and looking forward to scheduling a call one-on-one as well. Thank you.
We have your email. Also, everything that we discuss here today, the recording, the presentation, we will all share this with the people that have signed up here. So, and we will also offer a direct conversation, reach out to individuals directly, book a call with you, and then explain you more about the program. Good. Now, looking at the time, we have some 10 minutes left. I just wanted to again, highlight that we're currently calling for applications for our program. We have discussed today already how we work. This was just a hack level, so what we could do in one day with a few people, looking at some of the data with a broad perspective. And once we have selected the projects that will participate, we're looking to source 8 projects. Normally we have many more applications than that. So it's a competitive process, but once we have these 8 projects, we will work with them much more closely. So we have a 6-week acceleration phase where we look at the basics, like the concepts of ecosystem building, the big vision, the UVP. We look also at data. We have a research department. We are sitting on a big database of relevant data. We consult, for example, the European Commission on the future of the European startup ecosystem. So we will transfer that knowledge and help the project owners to understand what's needed, what are gaps or opportunities in their ecosystem. We will focus also on a partnering strategy. Who should be involved in the ecosystem? Who do you need to convince to make it work? Who can be maybe a stakeholder or have a financial stake also in it? How can you build that? We will also look at a fundraising strategy. What are relevant funding opportunities nationally, internationally, that might be relevant to make your project work? And we will together build a playbook within the first 6 weeks. We call it the Ecosystem Hub Creation Playbook. So a playbook that will detail step by step how to implement, how to grow it based on best practices, based on what we have learned together, based on what your vision is. Yeah, this is what expects the people that participate and join the accelerator. Yeah, and we will work with them over the next 2 years. The call for applications. So we are now today, 8th of July, the last of the webinar series from Hack to Action. That's the big call. We had the hack, we had the discussions, we had, let's say, the stakeholder activation. Now we're looking for people that want to lead the action. Yeah, so ecosystem builders, startup enablers, innovation leaders, we're looking for you. Please join the program, apply at deepecosystems.com/DeepSea Hungary. You will find the application form. Reach out to us. We have many ways. This webinar is one way. We will reach out to you one-on-one to explain it. But by beginning of August, 5th of August, the applications would close. Then we will select over the course of until mid-August. Maybe also do select interviews with some of the candidates, and then start the first beginning of our DeepSea program at the end of August, 25th of August. There will also be a 2-day in-person bootcamp. We call it Accelerator Sprint. So this is when the whole cohort meets in Budapest for 2 years. It's connected also to a major innovation event that will happen around the same time. So people can also use this already to build the network, to float ideas, to find maybe partners or collaborators. The initial stage will already close in October, 10th of August, 6 weeks. So pretty fast. By this date, you should already have a playbook, a very solid plan to go out and to raise funds. Yeah, and we work with you over the next 2 years. So thinking about it from the end, 2027 is the year when we will make end this initial phase of collaboration. So until then, looking at the first year of growing and fundraising, second year of implementation, we should see then already some impact from the ecosystem moonshots. There will also be a demo day, so an international event where you can present your ecosystem moonshot in a systemic way towards a wider audience. This will be organized in the first half of 2026. Yeah, so all of this is the program that we're working on. We've been doing this now since more than 5 years. Like I said, we already work with 80 ecosystems worldwide, from Japan to Canada, across Europe. Yeah, so we have many alumni that are building the ecosystems. Many of them also successful, raising money in the terms of millions of euros. Good. The application form, like I said, you can find it online. This is the program what I just explained. You can also find this on the website, the 2-year program, what kind of benefits you can expect. And this is the last slide. So if you have not yet looked at the application form, you can also here open this QR or just go to our website. And yeah, I hope to have many more conversations, maybe also one-on-ones with some of the people here. It was great to meet many people also in Budapest in person last week. And since this is an open call, I'm also looking forward to maybe seeing ideas from people that nobody has on their map, right? So we're also looking for crazy ideas, something that has not been done before. It's an open call for ecosystem builders. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you over the next 2 years. This is it from my side. Seeing that there's no more questions, I would now hand back to Richard. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I have also pasted the website and the application page into the chat, as well as a link where you can book a call with either Harald, Thomas, or me. And yes, in the end, good luck to everyone who applies. I wish for a lot of applicants. And yeah, please share this nice opportunity if you know anyone in your network. Because the Hungarian innovation ecosystem will benefit from this. In the end, I wish you a very good day and a nice evening or afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.